I should have known the first time her mom asked about my salary, not in a joking way. Not like, "So, are you doing all right?" She asked like it was a job interview. Clipboard in hand, a tiny smirk like she already had the answer and was just waiting for me to confirm it. Let me back up a little. My name's Ryan. I'm 34 now, but this all started when I was 28, fresh out of grad school with a steady job in IT and way too much faith in the idea that love could conquer anything. I met Carla at a friend's birthday dinner in Chicago. She was smart, sarcastic, beautiful in a way that made you lean in. We talked for 3 hours straight and didn't notice everyone else leaving. That kind of thing. Carla was warm, but intense. She had a presence. Like when she walked into a room, you noticed. She worked in marketing and had this polished, high-achieving vibe. Not fake, just curated. From day one, it was clear she came from money. Not old money exactly, but definitely the kind where her family had never once worried about the electric bill. At first, it didn't matter. We clicked. We had that good kind of chemistry, the kind that makes you want to cancel plans and just be around each other. We moved in together after a year, got engaged after 2. Then came her parents. Carla's parents, Martin and Linda, were the kind of rich that acted like they weren't. Martin wore fleece vests and drove a Tesla, but he also liked to mention which politicians he golfed with. Linda had this brittle kind of smile that never quite reached her eyes. She was the one who first started calling me practical, not in a flattering way. "Ryan's so practical," she'd say, sipping her wine with a tiny tilt of the glass. A good balance to Carla's creativity. Translation: you're boring, but stable. We can work with that. The thing is, I really didn't think anything was wrong. Her family hosted us for brunches, gave us theater tickets for Christmas, sent over fancy candles when we moved into our new place. It all seemed generous. But it wasn't generosity. It was investment. And when you take their gifts, they expect returns. The first big crack showed up when we started planning the wedding. Carla and I had agreed early on we'd keep it simple. Intimate, under 50 guests, backyard vibe, maybe rent a small venue. We wanted to put the money toward a house down payment, not a one-day event with $200 centerpieces. Her parents smiled and nodded, and then offered $35,000 for the wedding. That sounds great, right? Except it came with conditions. Their venue, their planner, their guest list, their caterer. Carla said, "They're just excited. Let them help." And honestly, I caved. I thought, it's one day. Pick your battles. They're her family, and they mean well. But they didn't just pay for the wedding. They took it over. Fast forward to our first year of marriage. Carla's job hit a rough patch. Budget cuts, her team was downsized, and she was out of work for 5 months. No big deal, I thought. That's life. I picked up freelance gigs, we cut back, and we stayed afloat. But Carla's mom called her every day. Not to check in, to micromanage. "Are you sure Ryan's making enough? Do you think this is what you signed up for? You could always come work for your father's firm." At first, Carla defended me. "We're fine, Mom. He's doing everything he can." But over time, I saw her face shift during those calls. Like something was sinking in. Then, one afternoon, Carla came home and said, "My parents want to help us with a financial cushion just while I get back on my feet." I asked what she meant by help. "They'll cover a few bills, just temporarily. And they want to take over managing our monthly budget, help us optimize things." I blinked. Wait, they want to manage our money? Just help track it. Martin already set up a spreadsheet. They're good at this stuff. It felt wrong, but I said yes. Because I was tired and broke and frankly relieved, I didn't have to stretch another grocery list. 2 weeks later, my paycheck was rerouted to a joint account with Carla's name on it and her parents as secondary signers. I didn't even know that was possible. But apparently, if your spouse agrees to something and you're married in Illinois, things get complicated. I didn't notice how deep it got until my debit card declined at a gas station. It was embarrassing. I was standing there holding a Red Bull and a pack of gum, and the guy behind the counter looked at me like I was a scam artist. I called Carla. She said, "Oh, my dad noticed you went over the weekly spend. He probably paused the card." Paused. My card. I wasn't even mad yet. I was just confused. Why does your dad have access to our cards? Because he's helping. He's keeping us on track. I realized then I wasn't on track. I was on their leash. I wish I could say that's when I put my foot down, but I didn't. Not yet. I told myself it was temporary, that it was a glitch, that they meant well. But the control grew roots. Linda started reviewing our purchases, literally commenting on which grocery items were unnecessary. Martin scheduled monthly calls with Carla to go over our financial health. They started referring to me as the asset. That's when it got personal. One day, Carla and I got in an argument because I bought a $60 video game. I hadn't bought anything for myself in months. It was a gift, a little escape, and she looked at me like I'd betrayed her. My mom said that was irresponsible, she said, arms crossed. Your mom said, Carla, I make my own money. Technically, we both do, and we agreed to let them help. No, we didn't. Not really. They offered. She accepted. I tolerated it. There's a difference. A few weeks later, I found out Martin had requested access to my credit report. He said it was to help restructure some of our debt. I hadn't agreed to that. Carla shrugged and said, it's not a big deal. He just wants to make sure we're making the right decisions. That was the last straw. I sat down that night and really looked at what was happening. I wasn't in control of my paycheck. I wasn't allowed to make small purchases without feedback. My in-laws had more say in our finances than I did, and the woman I married had slowly become their mouthpiece. I didn't recognize her anymore. And worse, I didn't recognize myself. That was when I started planning my way out. Not out of the marriage. Not yet. But out of the financial cage, I got a separate bank account, quietly. Used cash for groceries. Started storing small freelance payments in PayPal under a different name. I made spreadsheets of my own, ones I didn't share. I needed an exit strategy. Because this wasn't love, it was ownership. The morning I realized Carla had forged my signature, I didn't even feel anger. Not at first. I felt this dull, cold weight settle in the center of my chest. Like my body knew before my brain caught up. Here's how it happened. I'd been keeping quiet. Making my moves in the background. A second account. Tracking expenses. Slowly, carefully reclaiming bits of control that had been stripped away. I didn't even tell my closest friend, Jason, because I knew once I said it out loud, it would feel real. And I wasn't ready for that yet. But something had been bugging me. Every month, a retirement transfer appeared on our shared account. Carla told me her dad was putting it into a family-managed Roth IRA for our long-term goals. That sounded fishy. I knew a bit about IRAs. You can't just toss someone else's money into one unless you're the account holder or have written consent. I asked Carla if I could see the paperwork, and she brushed it off. It's all good, babe. My dad set it up through his guy. It's in both our names. That didn't sit right, so I did what I probably should have done months earlier. I went full snoop mode. I started by checking my credit report. There it was, an account I didn't recognize, opened 11 months ago. Listed under Ryan M. Weston and Carla L. Weston, a joint investment vehicle, supposedly. It was linked to an LLC I'd never heard of. The mailing address? Martin and Linda's house in Oak Brook. I felt sick. I called the brokerage listed and asked for details. They asked for verification. I gave it. Then they asked, do you have a copy of the consent form you submitted with your joint authorization? I paused. I never submitted one. They sent me a PDF, and there it was, my name in cursive, my signature. Only it wasn't mine. I stared at that file for 20 minutes. It wasn't rage. Not yet. It was this slow-spreading, creeping dread. Like something had slithered inside my life and changed the locks while I was asleep. I printed the PDF and put it in a folder. Sat down on the couch, waited for Carla to get home. She walked in, kicked off her shoes, kissed me on the head like everything was normal. I said calmly, we need to talk. She looked up. What's wrong? I handed her the paper. She went pale. Her first reaction wasn't denial. It was justification. It's not a big deal, she said, setting the page down like it burned her fingers. My dad needed your signature to set up the joint account, and you were so stressed, You forged my name. I copied your signature. That's the definition of forgery. She crossed her arms. I didn't think you'd care. It's your retirement. It's still your money. No, Carla, it's not. It's in a private LLC under your parents' address. That's not my money. That's their asset, with my name attached. Her mouth opened, closed. Then she went on the defensive. Why are you acting like I stole from you? I was trying to help. My dad said it was smarter this way, that you'd thank us later. thank them? They took my paycheck, micromanaged our expenses, stripped me of agency, and now they forged my name to wrap my financial future around their trust account, and I was supposed to be grateful? That night, I didn't sleep. I laid awake, staring at the ceiling fan, thinking about how many compromises I'd made since the wedding. How many decisions I justified because it'll get better or she means well. But this wasn't a bad day or a rough patch. This was systemic, coordinated. This was a marriage where I didn't have a voice. Not with her, not with them. So I made a new spreadsheet, a private one, called Exit Plan Do Not Share. Step 1. Talk to a lawyer. It was terrifying. Not because I was filing for divorce yet, but because I needed to know what I was legally responsible for. And let me tell you, that conversation chilled me to the bone. That LLC? If any debts were taken out in my name through that entity, I was liable. That joint account where Martin moved my paycheck? If anything went wrong, taxes, penalties, even fraud, I could be implicated. Why? Because I had technically agreed to it. That realization made my stomach turn. The lawyer, a sharp woman named Elena, gave it to me straight. You're in a financial hostage situation. Everything looks consensual on paper. That makes it harder to challenge, but not impossible. What would you do? I asked. She looked me dead in the eye. Start gathering proof. Paper trails, emails, texts, anything that shows coercion or deception. So I became a quiet collector, screenshots of texts from Carla like, Dad says not to worry about the credit card. He'll cover the charges. Just needs your SSN again. PDFs of our shared financial statements. Records of deposits from my employer. And how they were moved around without my input. I even started recording conversations. Not to go full spy mode, but because I needed a safety net. I was up against a well-connected, manipulative family who saw me as an investment. And I was done playing along. About a week later, Carla confronted me. You're different, she said. You're cold. I'm focused. On what? Making me into a villain? You're not a villain, I said. You're just standing next to them while they burn everything down. That was the first night I didn't sleep in our bed. I took the couch, not because she kicked me out, but because I didn't want to be near her. And that broke me more than I expected. The next morning, I packed a bag. I told her I needed space, that I was staying with Jason for a few days. She didn't argue. She barely looked up. When I got to Jason's place, I collapsed into a chair and told him everything. The control, the accounts, the forgery. He listened, horrified, then said something I didn't expect. Man, I always thought Carla's family was a little much, but I didn't realize it was this bad. What are you going to do? I didn't answer because I wasn't ready to say it out loud, but I knew. Over the next few days, I set things in motion. I moved my direct deposit to the new account I controlled. I pulled my credit report again and froze it. I sent a cease and desist to the brokerage handling the forged IRA. I had Elena draft a revocation of financial authority, a legal document separating my name from any joint entities I hadn't explicitly agreed to. And I wrote Carla a letter. It wasn't cruel. It wasn't angry. It was honest. Carla, I loved you. I still do, in some broken, buried part of me, but I cannot keep living like a tenant in my own life. Paying rent to your parents just to exist in a marriage where I have no voice. I gave so much grace. I let things slide because I believed you had my back. But you didn't. Not when it counted. You handed over our future like it was a business deal. You let them turn us into numbers. I'm not angry. I'm just done. I hope one day you realize what you gave up in exchange for their approval. Ryan and I filed for separation the next morning. She didn't call. Her father did. He left a voicemail. You ungrateful little punk. You wouldn't have lasted a year without us. You're walking away from stability, from legacy. Carla deserves better. You'll regret this. I played it for Elena. She smiled and said, Perfect. That's coercion. That's intimidation. We'll keep it. That night, I slept in a guest bed with a broken headboard and no pillowcase, and I slept better than I had in months. I didn't expect the silence to hurt more than the yelling. But that's what happened. No angry calls from Carla. No desperate texts, just silence. Like she'd erased me the moment I walked out, and somehow that hurt more than if she'd screamed. I spent 2 weeks sleeping on Jason's couch, living out of a duffel bag and trying to keep my job from noticing the crater that had become my personal life. Jason gave me space, which I appreciated, But one night, he couldn't help himself. "You think she's waiting for you to crawl back?" "I think she's waiting to see if I have the nerve to stay gone." He gave a low whistle. "Do you?" I didn't answer, because I wasn't sure yet. Then came the email. It was from Carla. Subject line, closure. I clicked before I could talk myself out of it. "Ryan, I've been thinking a lot. About us. About everything. I know you think I betrayed you. I didn't. I was trying to keep us stable. Secure. My parents know money. They know how to protect it. I never wanted to hurt you. But I won't apologize for wanting a good life. If you're set on separation, I won't fight you. But just know, you're walking away from more than just me." Carla, I stared at that last line. More than just me. Like she still believed her parents were the real prize. Like they were part of the marriage package. Her, the house, the access, the financial protection. I wasn't sure whether to laugh or cry. A few days later, I met with Elena again. She laid out the divorce path. What I'd owe, what I might get back. What to expect when Carla inevitably lawyered up with someone expensive. "Do you want to go to court?" Elena asked. "No," I said. "I want to be free." "Then don't swing wild. Stay factual. Keep your spine straight." That line stuck with me. Keep your spine straight. Turns out Carla wasn't done after all. A week later, I got a letter from her lawyer. Not about the divorce, but about the joint account tied to her parents' LLC. They wanted me to sign a release. A document that basically said, I waive all rights to the investment account and acknowledge I was a passive party. Elena read it, then looked up with a dry smile. "They're trying to bury your claim." "So what do we do?" She handed the paper back. "You don't sign a damn thing." Around the same time, Martin, Carla's father, decided to escalate. This time, he didn't call. He sent an email. A long one. He outlined every financial favor they'd done for me, helping with the down payment, managing our savings, even paying for our honeymoon. Each line was weaponized. Without us, you wouldn't have had the stability to pursue your career. You were never going to be a provider, Ryan. Carla needed our help. We protected her from your short-sighted decisions. I read that last line 5 times. We protected her from you. I didn't even feel angry anymore. I felt done. Jason saw the change in me. "You're different, man," he said one night as we drank beers on his balcony. Like, settled. Not happy, but clear. Clarity's better than denial. "Are you gonna go through with it?" "Yeah," I said. "I am." He nodded, then raised his bottle. To the guy who finally said no. 2 days later, Carla showed up. No warning. Just knocked on the door at 7:42 p.m., holding a tote bag and looking like she hadn't slept in days. Jason answered, looked at me, and said, "Want me to bounce her?" I shook my head. "Let her in." She sat on the couch like it still belonged to her. It didn't. "I just wanted to see if there's anything left," she said. "There is," I replied, "but not for what you think." She blinked. "What does that mean?" "It means I don't hate you, but I can't go back." We talked for hours. It wasn't angry or dramatic, just 2 people picking through the ashes. She admitted some things, that she forged the signature, that her parents pushed for control, that she knew it felt wrong but didn't stop it. "I was scared," she said. "They always said they knew best, and I wanted us to have the life they promised. And you didn't trust me to help build it." Silence. Then, "No, I didn't." There it was, the truth. I could have tried to fix it. Tried to untangle the mess, go to therapy, get mediators involved, but I was tired of being the one holding the line. So I stood up and said, "I wish you the best, Carla, but I'm not the guy you get to figure things out with anymore." She cried. I let her, but I didn't console her, because part of healing is learning you don't owe comfort to the person who hurt you. She left around midnight. No hugs. No promises. Just a quiet goodbye. The next morning, I signed the official divorce papers. Elena filed them that afternoon. By the end of the week, I was legally untangled from Carla Weston, her parents, and their entire financial web. I still had to deal with fallout, untangling taxes, cleaning credit, moving out of the condo. But it felt lighter. Cleaner, because I was finally living my life on my terms again. No more accounts I didn't control. No more dinners where every compliment had a cost. No more justifying my worth to people who'd already decided I wasn't enough. And no more apologies. They don't tell you this part. What freedom actually feels like. It doesn't feel like a finish line or fireworks. Or some movie moment where the music swells and everything clicks into place. No. It feels like standing in an empty apartment, surrounded by boxes you packed alone, staring at a wall that still smells like someone else's perfume, and thinking, so now what? The divorce was finalized 2 months after Carla left my friend's apartment. I kept the car. She kept the condo. Neither of us fought hard. I think we were both too emotionally bankrupt by then. There were no big courtroom battles, no last-minute reconciliations. Just a notary, a couple signatures, and a manila envelope I carried out like it held someone else's story. But it was mine. All of it. And now I had to figure out who I was without her. The first few weeks were weirdly quiet. No more calls from Martin about asset strategy. No more texts from Carla asking if I'd remembered to auto-transfer rent. No more calendar invites for brunches with people who never really saw me. Just silence. It was peaceful, but also eerie. Like I'd spent so long being handled that I forgot how to just live. Money was tight, but it was mine again. I got a small one-bedroom near work. Nothing fancy, just enough space for a couch, a bed, and a tiny coffee maker I bought secondhand. My job was steady, though I took on freelance projects to stay afloat. Every cent I earned came straight to me. No funneling. No family-managed accounts. No passive-aggressive budgeting from people who thought Applebee's was a little low tier. I started using cash again. Envelopes labeled groceries, gas, rent. It was old school. But it grounded me. I also started going to therapy. At first, I told myself it was just to sort out the paperwork in my head. But the truth was, I needed help unlearning years of quiet submission, of being told that questioning things meant I was ungrateful. My therapist, Janine, was calm and direct. She said something in our third session that I wrote down and taped to my fridge. People don't always steal your money. Sometimes they steal your confidence and call it love. That line cracked something in me, because as I'd let Carla and her family take both, I started setting boundaries. With myself, with work, with the few mutual friends who tried to stay neutral. One of them, Jeremy, texted me out of the blue. Hey man, Carla's throwing a fundraiser next weekend. You should stop by. No drama, promise. I stared at the message for a full minute before replying. I'm not interested in events where I'm tolerated but not respected. He didn't reply. That was fine. Some people are only there when you're convenient. Then came the part I wasn't ready for. Seeing Carla again. It happened randomly, at a grocery store near downtown. She was in line, buying oat milk and a bouquet of tulips. She saw me before I saw her. Ryan, she said. Neutral. Not surprised. Just there. Hey, we stood awkwardly, her basket between us like a shield. You look good, she said. You too. A beat passed, she shifted her weight. I heard you moved. Jason mentioned it. Yeah, new place. Simple. Feels right. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I'm glad, she said, then softer. I wasn't trying to ruin us, you know. I know. I thought I was helping. I know that too. She swallowed hard. Still, I'm sorry. That time, I believed her. We didn't exchange numbers. We didn't hug. We just stood there, two people who'd once promised forever, quietly acknowledging how far forever had fallen. When she left, I didn't feel broken. I felt clean. In the months that followed, I started noticing little things coming back. My ability to breathe deeply without guilt. The way I hummed while cooking again. The fact that I no longer flinched when someone asked me what I earned. I even started dating. Nothing serious, just enough to remember what respect felt like when it wasn't transactional. One woman, Naomi, asked me on our third date, what's something you never want to lose again? I answered without thinking, my autonomy. She smiled. Good answer. And it was. Last week, I got a letter from Martin, not Carla, not her mom, him. It wasn't hostile, but it wasn't warm either. I hope you found what you were looking for. We always believed we were doing what was best. If you ever want to talk like men, let me know. I didn't reply because I had found what I was looking for, and I didn't need to explain it to the man who thought power was the same thing as love. Some nights, I still think about the early days of our marriage. When Carla would dance barefoot in the kitchen, humming along to Billie Eilish, before everything turned into spreadsheets and passive aggression. There was love there. Real love, but it got buried under control. That's the part that still stings. But pain doesn't mean regret, because if I hadn't gone through it, I wouldn't know what to look for next time. I don't know if Carla will remarry. I don't know if Martin will ever see himself clearly. I don't care. What I do know is this. I got out. Not just from the marriage, but from the fog. From the slow erosion of self that happens when you let someone else convince you that freedom is a bad investment. And even though it cost me almost everything to leave, I finally feel rich. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe more content. If you want to share your stories, please comment below. Additionally, what is your opinion on the poster's decision?